Biden unveiled his infrastructure bill, I guess 2 or 3 days ago, $2.25 trillion, a lot smaller than he had even initially anticipated, or had not anticipated, but floated. Progressives are critiquing the size of it, especially because this is supposed to be over 10 years, and yet the infrastructure package is only $2.25 trillion, and especially because Joe Manchin had signaled, let's go $4 trillion, and yet Biden starts with $2.25 trillion, and the climate change provisions aren't even the whole package. So what are your thoughts there? What are your thoughts on how the House is going to respond to it, especially with someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speaking out about it? And why Biden went smaller when all indicators showed that he might have gone bigger based on his desire to be stronger than Obama, as Axios kind of laid out, etc.
Right. I have a couple thoughts. And the first is that I'm always baffled as to why Democrats start the position by lowballing. In my cursory like schoolhouse rock understanding of like how a bill gets passed, there's an ideal lifespan, which is like the bill starts ambitiously, and then if there's contention in the Senate, like it gets whittled down into like a lame version of the bill, but it's still helpful in some degrees. But Democrats are unique in that they seem to start with the lame version. One reason I think there's a couple reasons that we find by talking about this, but it seems like the prevailing one is that Biden is a I guess thinks that the bill has a better chance if there's some bipartisan support, or at least starting with a kind of playing Sweden with the bill. But I think that's a mistake that Obama has famously made many times. The one example I can think of came from his new book, where he mentioned that he ordered some drone strikes because he couldn't afford to look quote unquote soft to Republicans. And as we know, like the world is demonstrably worse because of those drone strikes. And I think the number of innocent civilians killed during the Obama administration is like over 800. And so, yeah, I don't know that I can't think of any other reason why the left in terms of politics starts with the lame version of the bill. Like I cannot wrap my brain around it.
Well, to me, for Biden, it's just this old school Reagan philosophy of not going too big, not allowing people to see what government can do with all of its might, and just kind of performing fiscal responsibility. And Matt has said this, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's almost a disciplinary tool in order to tell the American public, no, put ruler on the hand. Ow, I kind of hurt myself there. This is what you can expect from government, and this is what you can't expect from government. And so I after the stimulus package wasn't whittled down, and I was pleasantly surprised, this seems to be a signal that Biden is going to at some point revert back to who we thought he was. The Bears are who we thought they were, and Biden is who we thought he was.
Yeah, which is disappointing because, as you said, there was so much rhetoric during the campaign season about how much was going to change. Not from Biden, obviously. Biden said nothing's going to change, but just from people who, kind of grabbed us by the wrist and made us vote for Biden. There was so much talk about how progressive he was going to be, and even after the COVID relief bill passed, people were saying this is the most progressive thing ever, and this is something we can look towards. It's an indication of what Biden's presidency might be. But yeah, with this infrastructure bill, it definitely should temper our expectations.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. But it is a reminder of who we are dealing with here. And luckily, we had a clip from Ocasio-Cortez on in the from yesterday, where she was speaking to Rachel Maddow, or maybe it was 2 days ago, saying how that's a starting point for what they're going to put forward in the House, and they're only going to build up from there. She wanted a $10 trillion bill. But really, I mean, if you are guided not by this managerial instinct, not by a kind of political brand, as far too many politicians are, you would be on Ocasio-Cortez's side of what the scope needs to be in order to adequately prepare this country to deal with the climate crisis, especially if this bill is meant to target, you know, climate change over a 10-year period, as opposed to say, okay, $2.25 trillion for 2 years. Fine, go back to the trough in two, whatever. But that's not what Biden is saying that this is going to be. So, a bit of a bring down to earth moment from what we experienced with the stimulus package, in my view.
Yeah, and we can probably, unfortunately, expect that with some of the other platforms that Biden was talking about during the campaign. For example, we've already heard from Biden himself that he's not interested in doing the $50,000 student loan debt forgiveness. He's interested in doing 10,000, which, yes, that would still help me immensely, but is not adequate for so many people who owe that much or more. So yeah, we have we might have been a little bit misled by how progressive, in fact, the COVID relief bill was, and probably smart to take it slowly.
I got wrapped up in it myself, just in terms of, being like, what? Biden's not budging from this figure? But here we are, back where we started.